I stopped waiting to feel ready and started doing 3 specific things instead to help my momentum, help my motivation, basically help myself get unstuck and keep moving forward on the things that I want to be moving forward on. I'm going to talk about those today. But first, I am reading the most interesting book, and it is called The Expectation Effect. And it's got a whole lot of brain science. The neuroscience nerd in me salutes the neuroscience nerd in you. I hope you're also a neuroscience nerd. But if you are any sort of personal development nerd, or does manifestation really work, or that kind of dreamy dreamer kind of nerd, but you also like science because there's a lot of science that backs up how do we intentionally create in our lives what we want. There's brain science behind it, okay? And so this expectation effect book is about how what we expect to happen highly influences the outcomes of what does happen, which is super interesting. So there is a large percentage of how we create our own reality by the way that we see the world and perceive what is going on in our world, and how we talk about it to ourselves, and how then we engage with the world. But don't click off if you're like, I hate all this stuff about magical thinking. Sounds like magical thinking. I think the reason that I really like this book as a neuroscience nerd is it's full of studies about how what we think and expect actually has medical outcomes that have been studied. It has just like physical bodily outcomes when we're thinking in certain ways and we're setting ourselves up to expect certain things. So the expectation effect isn't actually just a mindset read. It's a longevity and a performance science read. Because, I mean, the back of this book is packed with receipts. It's packed with studies. One example that I can think of in the book, just to give you a sense of what I'm talking about, is how people who were undergoing heart surgery, they put people in different control groups. And so some people, they just said, hey, you're having heart surgery. And then they left them to do whatever they were going to do in their own minds. There was a middle group that was somewhere between doing nothing and doing this other thing that I'm going to describe. The middle group had middle results. So I want to talk about the results between the people who had nothing, no sort of mental prep for their heart surgery and recovery, and then the people who did have mental prep. So the people in this group had, I think, 3 hours of time with psychologists who understood exactly what was going to be going on in the process, and who talked really positively about the outcomes of why the things that will happen in the surgery will help the person feel better, and how they could expect this, that, and the other as far as what they would be capable of after the surgery and the timelines that they could expect. And there was just a lot of focus on preparing the person mentally to have positive expectations, like my body's going to heal itself. Not heal itself because you're having the surgery, but my body is going to recover after. My body's going to do its job. I'm going to feel good again. I'm going to be able to travel. So they not only talked about what the body was going to do, but they talked about here's how that connects to your long-term goals of traveling with your friends in 6 months, and that's totally doable, and blah, blah, blah. So this group was able to leave the hospital 4.7 days earlier than the group that had no sort of preparation. And so they were recovering faster, their bodies were responding more quickly, their bodies were coming back to a place where it was safe to leave the hospital. So it's those kind of studies that the author is referencing in the expectation effect. This is really inspiring to me because it makes me think, okay, so much of motivation and so much of what I can accomplish does come from my mind. And I don't think that's magical thinking. The studies in this book show that what you expect and what you prepare your mind for really affects what happens to you. Another interesting thing he references a lot in the book is placebos, and how even if you know that you're getting a placebo, sometimes just the fact that you are focusing on healing and feeling better. So if you get a placebo for a pain relief medicine, sometimes what will happen is that your body will start to produce some of the chemicals and whatever bodies produce to help your body deal with the pain. And so it's just, there's a lot that we don't think about, and there's a lot that goes on that comes from our own thoughts and actions that result in the outcomes that happen in our life. So I think that's really exciting because it isn't magical thinking, it's neuroscience and neuroplasticity. I know in the past I've put a lot of stock into personal motivation, and when I ran out of personal motivation, I ran out of working toward my goal. So at some point, I realized, oh, I can't just base what I'm doing and the momentum of moving forward on whether I feel like it or not, because feelings change. I am super, super aware of this in my own life. My feelings tend to change really quickly. And so while sometimes those feelings are telling me things, sometimes I just need to change my feelings. And I need to help myself by using tools that I know will increase my motivation, increase my inspiration. So here are 3 tools that I use for myself to manufacture. I don't know if that's the right word that I want to use right now, but to make my environment such that I am more likely to be motivated, and I'm more likely to have the momentum to do the things that either I need to do or the things that I have to do. So I hack my own motivation by, first of all, music. Before I started recording this video, which is the 3rd one I'm recording today because I'm batch recording and my energy was getting a little low. So I got some orange juice. And I also turned on a favorite song and I sort of just danced around. Lately, I've really, really been enjoying the First Nations New Testament. I like it because after having a high control religion past, where I feel like a lot of verses got a little bit like ruined for me, I love the First Nations version because it's the same message, but it's in words that are no longer triggering to me because they're not the exact same phrasing. And that version puts such a visceral, in the best way, embodied spin on the words that I've read so many times before. So Philippians 4:4, I was reading yesterday and today in the First Nations version, and the imagery is so great. The reason I'm talking about this, even though I'm talking about music, is the following. Philippians 4:4, always dance with joy before our honored chief. I will say it again, dance for joy. And moving my body to music. I am not a coordinated dancer. I don't want to be on stage for dancing, but dancing to music, moving my body, enjoying music, and letting it help me get present in the moment and change my emotions, those all really, really help my motivation. Especially if I'm going to be making dinner and I'm really tired. And friend, I do not like cooking. I think any joy I may have had in cooking before I had a family of 7 has been completely sapped from me. So a lot of times I will listen to music or something else that makes me happy, like an audiobook or watching somebody's YouTube video when I cook. Just something to hack my joy. And so music is a big, easy thing for me that helps my motivation. The second thing that I do to help with my motivation, if I need to create motivation when I do not have it, is doing a brain dump. And by this, I mean, I need to get the thoughts out of my head. I need to get a grip and get some perspective on my situation. There's a reason that books like The Artist's Way, that require you to write 3 pages called the morning pages every morning, are effective for helping you break through creative blocks and get momentum with creative projects. And that is because I believe you're getting your thoughts out of the circle of your brain. I am an overthinker. Somebody called me out on it the other day, and bless her, because that's a good friend. um, I get so stuck sometimes, and I'm cycling the same idea or circling the same idea, and I'm not moving anywhere with it. And especially, I don't know if this is an ADHD thing or not, but I especially struggle with this where I feel like I need to either externally process, which you don't always have the chance to externally process, right? I need to externally process. So that's either going to be through writing, or maybe it's talking to a friend, maybe it's talking to a therapist. Another way that I try to externally process so that the thoughts aren't just stuck and circling in my brain and I'm not, I'm envisioning, like, I don't know that it's Woody Woodpecker. It's like the running in place guy from cartoons when we were little. Um, but yeah, like where your legs are moving and you're not moving anywhere. So external processing is helpful for me because I get the thoughts out of my head, and I think that helps dissolve some of the ones that are unhelpful. It just helps me not be carrying them anymore. If I think about my thoughts, especially repeating thoughts or overthinking as really heavy, it just takes the burden out and gets them out of my head. However, it's not always practical to sit and have a long chat with a friend, or you don't get to see your therapist every day, you know? And honestly, the morning pages, my hand cramps when I write for that long. The morning pages are, I think, helpful, but I like to process by leaving myself a voice note, by just like talking things out. And it's stream of consciousness. It doesn't have to make sense. I just talk. Excuse me. Sometimes I listen back on 1.5. I'm always telling my friends, please listen to me on 1.5 because I am a slow talker and I process and I think and I talk. You are welcome to play this channel on 1.5 if you want. So I listen back to myself and maybe take note of some of the concepts or ideas that have come up. It's helpful for me to hear myself talk and hear the inflection in my voice. And it's almost like I need that because I don't know, I can't explain it, but it sort of cements some ideas in my brain better. Another thing that I like to do with the voice notes is transcribe them through whatever you use for that. And then I put the transcription into an AI. And I don't do that so that I can have an AI therapist. That's a bad idea. But the reason I do it is because sometimes my thoughts, especially when I'm circling an idea, are really disorganized and I'm fixating on the wrong things. The whole can't see the forest for the focus on the trees situation. And so I use AI to look at my transcript, to look at what I've brain dumped, and to help me make sense of it, to organize my thoughts, to bring out some of the themes that maybe continually came up. And I think one of the things that slows my momentum the most and stops me in my tracks and freezes me is just having too many thoughts stuck in my head that are not helpful for moving forward. So that's why I do that one. And the third thing, I talked about this a little bit. I talked around this issue anyway the other day in this video, but I was talking about rest and how I know we're talking about momentum, and rest and momentum seem like they're opposites, but they are not. And by rest in this situation, I don't necessarily mean just like sitting around doing nothing, though sometimes you need to have clear thoughts and to make space for creativity. So there's room for that. But for me, rest looks like nourishing my soul with things that make me happy. So tool number 3 for me to regain momentum is following little sparks of joy, I guess, is the best way to put it. By following my intuition on doing things that seem fun, doing things that seem interesting to me at the time. I think we don't follow our interests enough. We don't make space for ourselves to do something that we want to just because it's enjoyable. So, for example, one of the things that I sort of followed my interest to recently is listening more regularly to historical fiction. The particular historical fiction that I've been enjoying is in a location that connects to my ancestry. This particular one has this enduring love story, and fiction can really teach us a lot of things about our lives. It can teach us to be grateful for the love story that's in my life, the fact that I have a marriage that I really enjoy. It reminds me of that. Like hearing somebody else's love story reminds me of the beauty that is in my own life. Historical fiction is also fascinating for me because it gives me perspective on the fact that every single generation has had historical things going on that are hard. They are like, they don't seem like an ideal time to be living through. So many people have lived through unideal times in history. This time in history right now feels unideal in many ways. And I think that can affect our motivation. The fact that we feel, maybe if you're an American, you feel like your country is crumbling in some ways and things that you have always understood to work are no longer working. All of those things can send us into a despair spiral. It can cause us to shut down. If we're shut down, we're certainly not moving forward toward a future that we want. And for me, following this just interest in historical fiction has just reminded me everybody has stuff in their lives and in their time that is really hard. And it makes me more resilient. It makes me realize that this is my life and I want to live it, even if everything does feel so dumpster fire like. It inspires me to engage in the world in a way that's meaningful, to relieve suffering, to add beauty. That's the kind of stuff that, for me, historical fiction does for me. And it also makes me really thankful for modern conveniences, because the fiction that I've been reading has been in like 1700s Scotland and the US colonies before they were the US. And like just thinking about the sheer energy that it took just to live and feed yourself, it makes me really thankful to be living now, despite the world feeling very complicated. So, taking the time to expose myself to art and beauty and literature and creative things helps my mind in some ways take a break from reality and the stresses of my own life, but it also teaches me about reality and how to manage the stresses in my own life. So those things help me keep inspired so that I can keep moving forward and not give up on the things that matter to me. So, if you are somebody who has lived through grief and is juggling a lot of things in midlife, but still wants to pursue what you love in the world, or wants to even be able to remember what you love in the world and like your life again, I really hope that you'll hang out here with me. My vision for this place is for us to be here and encourage one another to like being alive, as my friend Gretchen said before she passed away. She had figured out a way to like being alive despite everything, despite a cancer diagnosis. And I am so inspired to bring other women along and encourage you to also figure out how to like being alive, how to keep working toward the things that are important to you and moving toward a future that feels hopeful. So I hope that you'll join me tomorrow, and we will keep talking about topics like this that affect us in our midlife reinvention, midlife reawakening, sometimes just midlife survival. So I'm very glad you're here. I'm Andy, and I'll see you tomorrow.